doing this garlic, reference of garlic here. And the first thing I'm going to do is just cover my whole page with this beautiful stuff. Now, what I'm using right here is a sponge that I got. It's a makeup sponge, one of those triangle makeup sponges that you can get at Walgreens or any place. They, the PanPastel people, sell this kind of sponge. It's denser, and depending on your needs, you might like it better. It applies differently. It actually puts a little bit more PanPastel on your paper. And these sponges comes in all shapes and sizes. I bought this for the New York City thing, and I actually ended up hating it. Sorry, PanPastel. But I don't know why I hated it. That looks
more like a smudge than the first thing.
Than the first things, yeah. I don't know why I did not like this, but I'm liking it now, actually.
It looks like they created it more for smudge appearance anyway.
Yeah, so actually, I love this today. Did not like it
Does it depend on what kind of paper you're using? Did you use that kind of medium weight?
Yes, no. And so good thing. I'm using Strathmore, just Strathmore sketch paper. At the Creative Carnival, I was using. Oh yes, this is why. I was using this way cool, and I forget the name of it, sand pastel paper. It actually is a sanded surface. This fought with that sanded surface. I don't know why. And then I had another paper that was real sandy, and it just tore this sponge up. So this was not my friend there. Actually, nothing was my friend at that carnival. I was screwing up so bad. I guess I can talk while that's going because I'm going to be editing it later. But I forgot half of my supplies because I was so nervous and excited, and I left supplies everywhere. At home, I left half my supplies at home. I had to rebuy them once I was in the city. Then I left supplies in my son's apartment. I got there, had no business cards, had no eraser, not one eraser. I didn't bring. This is what I draw with because you can get rid of it right there, or almost. All I had was pastel pencils and this little sharpener that every time I sharpened, the pastel pencils were breaking. So I was battling with myself. Because I don't know if you guys do this, but sometimes you go to do something really cool and you're nervous. I've been like this since I was little. And I will sabotage myself to oh no, I'm sick, I can't go. Or, oh, so glad the weather's bad because now I don't have to go anymore. I feel like I was forgetting all this stuff and doing all this stuff, so I really didn't have to go to this big event. And I was like, no, you are not doing that. You are going and you're going to do this. And so as my supplies were all disappearing and jumping away from me in front of my face, I had to be resourceful. And I swear I ended up doing some of the best pieces I've ever done at this thing. Okay, eraser. So now I need my eraser and I won't be able to find it. There it is, yay. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this eraser is I'm going to go in and pull away the light areas. So we're trying to keep this fairly rough and not too much detail. But I'm going to not only pull away this shape here that I'm seeing.
You always make this so silly. Everybody does that.
Right. Sometimes I...
Painting on TV. Oh, I know you're talking, girl.
Yeah. In flowers and sky.
Okay, I'm also going to use this eraser, and it probably is not that great of an idea, but while I have the eraser in my hand, I'm going to kind of draw this shape, which is really almost a triangle. Okay, so I pulled that away, and now I'm going to draw this shape, rough in this shape. I'm going to check my angles. The angles are looking pretty good. This I'm going to pull down a little bit further. And so we're roughing in this shape with the eraser. I'm going to find my tabletop back there. It intersects with the garlic right about here, so I'm going to put that in there. And then we've got my cast shadow, which I'm actually going to pull away on the tabletop around this cast shadow. And so this is you're just really roughing this in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just check some things. I'm going to use my Vine charcoal. Try if you're going to do the PanPastel, try not to use the drawing tools too much, so you're mostly drawing with the PanPastel and the eraser. But what I want to do with my charcoal is I'm just going to do some sighting. I see that this side of the garlic is almost parallel with the edge of the page. Right now I have it very rounded, so I'm going to just straighten that out. I also see that the tip of this garlic is showing a lot. I'm going to do this and then put my cast shadow in, checking this negative space back here to see how that garlic lays on the table and how it interacts with the cast shadow. Okay, so I'm going to just put that in there. And then this garlic is laying really flat on the table for a really long time. It just starts to lift right here on the end. So I'm not sure what's going on there because that's not quite right. I'm going to just pull, and I feel like something weird's happening. Okay, who knows? But I'm not going to fuss too much because you just keep on going round and round with this stuff. I'm going to go back in with my PanPastel now. And I'm going to darken this area in some more. Every time you go to do something, you're kind of reanalyzing, looking at angles, looking at shapes. The only real light area is going to be up in here. Everything else is going to be darker, in different shades of dark. Okay. Now I'm going to define the garlic shape by going into the background. So I'm going to use the negative space to help me define the shape of this garlic. I'm going to lower this tabletop now because I see that it's a little bit lower than it looked like the first time. I have different colors here too, so you can do it in any color that you want if you want to do this. Okay, sometimes it's just wrong, and you know that you'll be able to figure it out as you're going along, so just don't get too held up in that something's inaccurate. You just want to go back and check it out at some point, because something is going on here. I'm going to do my cast shadow. Beep, 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 beep. Okay, now I'm going to go back in with my eraser. And at this point, you really want to squint, because I want to squint to see what in the heck is different between this and that. And one of the things I can see squinting is this area needs to be lower. This light area needs to be a little bit lower. And this actually needs to be lower too. And so I'm doing this all squinting. This area right here is interesting because there's a little bit of shadow separating these cloves in here, and it's going straight up and down. So I do this motion, I actually do that motion so I can see it for myself, and it's parallel with the edge of the page. So I'm going to go in here and put this little bit of shadow in here and just rough that in. Another thing that I'm seeing is this is a shadow, and the light here is making an angle going up, and I kind of have it too curved, so I'm just going to get rid of some of that. Okay, what else? I'm going to take my eraser. I'm going to get rid of some of this in here, just a little bit to show me that shadow, and then these shadows are at this kind of angle. Interesting, because this comes down further. It's going that way. This needs to come up just a tad. Ugly, but I'm going to keep on moving. Okay. Now, I'm going to use this here, my vine charcoal, to define a little bit of this top. I guess this is where the roots are. And I see that that goes all the way over here. And then this little skin is coming at this angle. So I need to erase that to make that nice little angle in there. This dark is all the way up in here. So I'm just defining the background to define the garlic. This is a really pretty part of the garlic here, where you see just a sliver of light coming in between the skin. And, oh, and then this little thing here too is nice. This little shadow right in here. You want to try to stay away from lines and just do all this in shadow. Okay, and then this little piece of skin is very thin, so I'm going to shapen that up a bit with my vine. And I need to look at that negative space, that V right in here, in order to make the other skin that's hanging off. And that's a weird shape, and I'm not going to fuss too much with it. I am going to see that it goes out a lot further than I have it. But what happens if you start to fuss with these hard, difficult shapes, you start to lose the energy in your drawing. So for right now, I'm going to, let us take this little thing. You can get eyeshadow stuff, and also PanPastel sells these little sponges. And all shapes and sizes.
What's cheaper?
The makeup sponges are cheaper. And like so far, I kind of liked the makeup sponges better. I don't know why. I think, I'm not sure. But they are cheaper, for sure. And you can wash them both up in, oh, that's off. In like just Palmolive. All right. All right, so now, so that's like kind of coming along. I'm going to go back now and start to do some of this down here. Round that out a bit. It gets really dark in here. So actually, what I'm going to do is a combination. I'm going to use this compressed charcoal now, since some of you might just do the compressed. And I'm going to put this cast shadow in with the compressed charcoal, because it's real dark. And you can also use your fingers with that. Some of this stuff within the garlic, I'm kind of just ignoring a bit, but I am going to see what the little darkest shape is down here and try to define that a bit. And my cast shadow might have gotten too dark for comparison to the rest of it, but maybe what I'll do is I'll add some fun texture up in here. Okay. There's a cool thing happening over here that I'll go ahead and just kind of put in, maybe not. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay, now I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to define this tabletop a little bit more. And some of the light falls real pretty right next to the cast shadow and the garlic. And then it gets a little bit darker as it goes out. And you can almost not even see that tabletop, so we're going to smear that just a little bit.
Did you do this one?
Yeah, that's the one you did.
Yeah, I did that one last night. Which
I feel
one's
like
looking
I like
better?
that paper better. I like this paper better than I
Yeah, you know what? That's something else. You really do get to know like what papers are best. This is working better with the PanPastel than that did. That is Strathmore pastel paper. And I was struggling a little bit with the grain of that paper. It wasn't taking the PanPastel that well. Well, that's kind of singing a little bit, isn't it? Let me do a little bit up here, and then with this little texture. How does that look?
Good, yeah.
Right. Stop making it too perfect, then we have to.
Yeah, that's not bad, right? And I'll tell you, you just don't even know. It's like you're going along and it looks like it's not going to work. But if you keep on just concentrating on the shapes of those values, the angle of the values, and also I really recommend doing this kind of thing. It helps your brain to try to figure out the shape. I will go like this, and then I'll see actually that that's wrong. That needs to come down just a little bit. And I'll do the same shape here. Do it here. You know what that shape is. You can repeat that shape on your drawing. And that really, really helps your drawing. If you can get in the habit of doing that. That's how I draw all the time. Just repeating the shapes, repeating the angles. Okay, so we've got this angle here. Mine probably is not at enough of an angle, but I'm not doing anything about that. So, okay. Ta-da, show's over.
Yay.